Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Yeah, brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and welcome to Islamic Oasis Live again. This time, I'm sure all of you are following up what's happening in Pakistan. Imran Khan has been arrested again. He's been in jail. He may be let go, and it could be a few days, could be a few months, could be a few years. There's a lot of different charges put on him. Obviously, the opposition doesn't agree. There is the government, the so-called government, has put corruption charges on him, and the other side is saying that there's no corruption here. This is just a tax issue, and you have to declare your stuff, and we declared it according to this, that, and the other. And of course, there is also election issue in Pakistan. Who should be running Pakistan? There is also calls for military to take over, as some of you know. If you're watching with different politicians, different people who are aware of what's going on, major voices within Pakistan, some are again calling for some type of stability because the economy is in tanks, and the country is a nuclear power, and this is bringing a lot of tensions within the region and also within the country. So to discuss that again, we have our brother Adnan Khan, political analyst, and this is he's been on the show many times before, but as we said, he's a political analyst, he's an author, he's an activist, he's a tax specialist, founder of the Geopolity. We should visit that. I think there was a recent article also written on the situation. Inshallah, we'll discuss that with him on the future, also in what's happening in the coup in Niger and the effect that it can have on Sahel. He has written extensively on international issues for over 2 decades in areas such as economic, political Islam, energy, defense, and the Middle East. He has authored several books and is the author of Global Trends for the 21st Century and 100 Years of the Middle East. Brother Adnan, welcome back to Islamic Oasis.
It's good to be here. Good to be here again.
Always, Akhi, always. Sheikh, so now Imran Khan is back in jail, this time on corruption charges. But we don't see much happening on the streets. There is no, it doesn't see, at least what we saw last time in May when he was arrested, and half of this, at least Peshawar was burning and things like this. So we're hearing two things. One is that either the crowds or the people don't really trust him, or is it that military did a good job of really cracking down on the opposition and just destroy PTI, and so there is nothing really left other than him. They've isolated him, and what's happening, Sheikh?
So you're right. It's a bit of both, really. Really, what you're seeing is the end of the Imran Khan era. You're seeing the end of the Imran Khan project, the Tabdili project. Turned out not to be much change in the end. In fact, it's turned out to be very similar to previous regimes that we've actually had. So the reason why you're not seeing large protests, because people can see the writings on the wall. His party has all disowned him. His party, in fact, many members have set up a new party, and they were very creative with the name. It's called Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Parliamentarians. So they plan to fight in the next election as independent candidates or as part of another party.
Who
So
the guys who left him?
Yeah, most of the guys that have left him. I mean,
Oh,
remember,
and so there's already a new party
yeah,
with those
there's
guys.
already a new party. This is what we saw when Nawaz Sharif was overthrown by Musharraf. A new party was set up. The Muslim League parliamentarians. So it's the same old game being played out again. So people can see the writings on the wall. His party's abandoned him. And Imran Khan, in many ways, is back to where he was 5-6 years ago, where he is the party, he is the personality, and he wasn't able to get to power for a long time because he was the only party. So he jumped into partnership with all the other politicians from the other parties. Obviously, the wind was going in his direction. And after 3.5 years in power, the wind is now going in the other direction. So now he's left to doing YouTube videos from home.
Yeah.
He doesn't get TV coverage anymore. I think no media outlet wants to put him on the media anymore.
Well, they can't really, either. Also, right? I mean,
it's been banned now. Yeah. So really, he does videos at home. He puts them onto YouTube. So I think he made a video just before this verdict. He could see which way things are going. Obviously, he's going to appeal the decision. But to be honest with you, if he remains in prison for 3 years, really the political context would have changed by then. Things would have actually moved on. And in fact, I think people have seen now the Imran Khan project's come to an end. Really, everything he promised wasn't really delivered on. I mean, we could talk about why and how that turned out. So that's why you're seeing now, from all the popularity and the ratings he was getting 5 years ago, now we've come to an inglorious end. If anything, the winds are now going in the direction of the Nawaz Sharif family. They're gearing up for another election. And all the politicians that supported him now know the wind's going in the other direction. If you want to be in power, you've got to be in the other camp now. So really, Imran Khan is back where he started. He's a lone ranger. His whole party was based on his own personality.
It seems like they're even getting ready. What's the Bilal? Is it? Yeah, Bilal. Is he the front runner? It seems they are preparing him also to be the next.
Yeah, so it's probably a bit early for his time. Yeah, I mean, obviously the Bhutto family and the Sharif family are the two dynasties in this country. And if you look at the last 3 decades,
say that again. Do you have the Bhutto family and the Sharif family?
The Bhutto family and you've got the Sharif family. So obviously before Bilal, you had his father Zardari, you've had Benazir, his mother before them, and the Pasha Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, his grandfather. Then obviously you've got the Sharif family. You've got their children who are gearing up now. I mean, Bilal is gearing up. I mean, he's the foreign minister of the country. I mean, until parliament's not dissolved, he's the foreign minister. And I'm sure he's got his eyes. He probably feels this is right to be the leader of the country going forward. But I think from the looks of it, probably the Sharif family is going to maintain power with some sort of coalition with them. And this is the merry-go-round Pakistani politics, the circus we've seen really for decades.
So, Sheikh, let's see, as far as the public is concerned, the public can't see this. The public is what is the solution for the public? What's in their mind?
So look, the reason why many supported Imran Khan was because the things he said is what they believed in. You know, they want corruption rooted out. They want some sort of welfare state. They want a Medina state. They don't want to be a lackey of America. They want to be an independent country. They want to be self-sufficient. And this is what Imran Khan spoke about. But Imran Khan didn't really go beyond talking about it. He didn't actually do anything about it. If anything, most of his policies, which we can discuss, were no different to the previous regimes. In fact, he continued with most of the policies that created problems for Pakistan. The problem with people of Pakistan is they can't see beyond this. So the fact that they supported Imran Khan, who's a complete outsider, who's been in the political wilderness, is because he was saying what they believed in. And he was someone different. He wasn't from a dynastic family. He wasn't from the military. So really, he was in a very unique position. He had mass support and he was a clean politician. He wasn't like the other families. Obviously, he didn't deliver on most things. In fact, I don't think he delivered on anything. I mean, apart from
I don't think he's even. I don't think he understands what he's saying, Sheikh. I mean, look. As far as I was listening to one of his interviews last night, just preparing for this. he kept saying that, look, the way out is number one, sure, we need money coming from outside. There needs to be some type of investment from outside, and that he was depending on the Pakistanis living in the West. Number two, he kept saying that we need to be able to get loan from the IMF. We need to, and then he was talking about some type of India example of India. He kept saying that, look at our neighbor, they've become independent from IMF, but for that to happen, first we need to take loan from IMF. And then, so
he's a man out of
do they
ideas
have
now.
do they have proper economic advisors? Do they have proper people who really?
Oh, no. The government, whoever's in power, has economic advisors, and the economic advisors do not think outside the global context. So they all tell them, you have no choice, you've got to take more IMF loans. You have to keep currency reserves. You need to cut welfare payments. And that's exactly what Imran Khan did. You look at most of the economic advisors are former IMF employers.
Yeah.
It's the same old. In fact, most of Imran Khan's cabinet are former Musharraf era cabinet officials. So really, apart from the top person changing, all the regime officials, all the cabinet officials are the same old guys who've been doing the same old things.
So is that because, Sheikh, they see, look, the reason I'm asking is that, okay, so now the Musharraf era, according to what they are, when they're thinking about these things, for them, it was a development era, right? I mean, Musharraf brought in a lot of cash, and of course, the public didn't realize that was to maintain the American war efforts inside Afghanistan and the region in general, maintaining bases, keep giving money so that they can keep giving men. They lost over 80,000 Pakistani soldiers in this whole process. Over 10,000 ulama were killed. And we saw the whole era, Musharraf era. But the money kept coming in only to keep to maintain Pakistan for America. So now, but it seems like a lot of Pakistanis don't actually understand that it wasn't IMF loans. It was loans being given from IMF for a reason. And the reason, and here's the second part of this, is that if people are saying that we want independence from the West, then how is it that they agree with him when he says the way out is go back to get the IMF loan, but then that doesn't put them underneath the thumb of the West?
So look, with Imran Khan, in many ways, he was a bit like Erdogan when he first came to power. He had the benefit of people. He had the people on his side.
He had support.
Imran Khan was new. He's not been in corruption before. He's a former cricketer. He set up a cancer hospital. He's not got involved in corruption. He's never been in political power. So he was clean. So for many Pakistanis, this is the guy that's going to lead us to the utopia. But what you find is his rhetoric was very different. He said what people wanted to hear. But remember, the last 5 or 10 years has been the era of populism. And in populism, what do? You tell the people what they want to hear. That's why Donald Trump got to power. That's why Boris Johnson got to power. That's why Modi got to power. All of these guys are not great politicians, but they know how to engage with their people. But that's not the way we measure anyone. When it comes to practically running the country, Imran Khan did nothing different to the previous rule. He went straight to the IMF. Pakistan took his first loan from the IMF in 1958. 23 programs later, what has changed in Pakistan? Pakistan is in more debt. It has less industry. It's in a worse economic situation.
Even at the time of Jinnah, I think he was also he was the first one to take the loan, wasn't it? It seems like he was.
No, so the first loan was 90. So obviously Jinnah died within a year of Pakistan's creation. Obviously the problem Pakistan had when they were created, most of the industry and most of the useful assets ended up in India. So straight away, Pakistan started from a weak position. So the thinking at the time was that the quickest way for Pakistan to develop is to actually join America in the war, in the Cold War. They thought this would get us military aid, this will get us development aid. And America was looking for an ally in South Asia against communism. So from the beginning, the politicians, the military officials, they actually thought the quickest way to develop was to join America. And here we are 75 years later, where Australia, South Korea, China, who became independent, have all developed, Pakistan is still in the situation it's in. All these countries got independence at the same time, but the economic
But
situation is
is that because the Pakistan has never been able to bring about political thinkers, Sheikh? I mean, at least I haven't. That's not to put down the Muslims of Pakistan and things like that, but just the thinking, it doesn't exist.
So what you
I mean,
find
look,
here,
so many of these countries around them that have also come out at the same time, and India, no matter what you have to say about India, at the end of the day, there is some thinking going on inside India. Is it that the politicians of India are sincere to their people in some way, or sincere to India, or is it?
I mean, to give you a simple example, the key leaders of the independence movement were Nehru, Gandhi, and Jinnah, right? Gandhi and Nehru still had the view, they had some vision that we want to make India independent. We don't want to be linked to the British. And in fact, they were quite impressed with communism and central management. So their thing with the British was, we want you guys to leave. And actually, we are not going to join the Commonwealth. We actually going to have good relations with the
Soviet Union. Yeah.
Right? What was the vision of Jinnah? I'm not sure, because he said different things all the time. He was, we just need to become independent. And you find that the generation of leaders that took over after him, they started fighting amongst each other. Jinnah obviously passed away within a year of Pakistan's creation. There was no vision. In fact, one of the reasons why Britain because up until the end, Britain didn't want to partition India. Britain wanted India to be one nation, and Britain has privileged relationship with it. The reason why they partitioned it because Nehru and Gandhi weren't playing ball. So that's why it was in British interest to partition, and then a weak Pakistan would be linked to the UK. But what happened was, after World War II, Britain was completely bankrupt. There's nothing Britain could do. And obviously you had the emergence of the Soviet Union and America. So Pakistan actually, even before Pakistan's creation, were thinking the quickest way for us to develop was to align with America. And Pakistan was so open about joining the Cold War that the American president and the White House were like, Pakistan seems to be more into the Cold War than we are. And obviously the reason why Pakistan were doing that is because they felt India is more powerful. We need to be as powerful as India. That's what they were actually doing. So the vision of Pakistan from the beginning was very limited. Now, that doesn't mean the people of Pakistan didn't have a vision. As far as the people of Pakistan were concerned, we are establishing Islam. We are establishing Dar al-Islam. The 14 million people that migrated, they were leaving a land to come to the Islamic land. Unfortunately, they were completely let down by the politicians. They were let down by the Muslim League leaders who had no grand vision. And that's why it was easy for the military to take over in the end, because the politicians completely messed the country up. You've never had a coup attempt in India.
Yeah, you've never had, yeah, that's true.
The military wouldn't even think twice about doing a coup. Yeah. So the people...
Why is that? Because of the vision the country has? Political vision?
Or is it... politicians. The politicians had a vision. We're taking the country somewhere. The politicians of Pakistan were weak, were mediocre. They had no grand vision. In fact, they started fighting amongst each other. I mean, Liaquat Ali Khan was assassinated in the first 5 years. He was one of the founding fathers of Pakistan. They started fighting amongst each other. There was no... You got to remember, Jinnah's party, All India Muslim League, was a party for the Nawabs, was a party for the rich. It wasn't a party for everybody. It was only in the end they realized we have no ground support. This was the reality of what actually happened. So what you find is, since then to now, you've got generations of dependency thinking that's filtered all the way down. Beloved Ali Bhutto, does he think outside the box? Does he think outside the global context? He's going to be exactly like his parents were and how their parents were, which is, we've got to think within the context. Even today, I would argue, you've got China in the region, you've got Russia in the region, you've got America in the region, you've got 3 possible options. But because generations have been, we've got to be with America, that's how they actually think. What has that got Pakistan though? That's the key question. Aligning with America has got you nothing. In fact, Pakistan is the abused partner in that marriage. Despite the sacrifices Pakistan makes, they say you haven't done enough. So Pakistan is in an abusive relationship. She is the battered wife in the relationship. She needs to get out of this.
But Sheikh, other than the politicians, even the so-called intellectual class of Pakistan is very they don't seem to have any real connection with Islam, and they don't want Islam.
So,
And this is the
Pakistan
huge
this-
intellectual class. I mean, at
this
least the famous
case,
ones.
So what you'd find is this is very similar to Turkey. The secular elite were very few in number, but they were in the key positions. They were the judges, they were the politicians, they were the civil service. What you find is the intellectuals are very small in number who are mesmerized by the West, but they're in the key positions. Vast majority of people are Islamic. Vast majority of people want to see more Islam. In fact, surveys over the last 2 decades by the West has shown people want more Islam in Pakistan, right? But who represents Islam in Pakistan? The mullahs. The mullahs don't offer how will Pakistan work? How will the Islamic economy work in the modern day? They don't have answers for these sort of things.
No, they don't
So,
have it.
for people, what they want is they want to see Islam in Pakistan. How that exactly will work, the intellectuals of Pakistan haven't answered it. The mullahs of Islam have no answer. Pakistan has no problem supporting the Taliban. They're in a legitimate struggle. But the governing model of the Taliban, Pakistanis would not want that in Pakistan. They don't see that as working in the case of Pakistan. So these are the challenges you actually have. So Imran Khan was in a unique position. He was a clean politician who had some aura of we're going to do some aspect of Islam.
I think even he would have good support even from Imran Khan. I mean,
Of
the
course,
Taliban,
no,
he had a whole...
This is the problem. What you find is these people used Islam because it's a sentiment to people to get to power. But really, there wasn't an agenda to actually implement it.
No, but what I'm saying is, do they really even... And they're using Islam, is the Islam that they know. That's the Islam they know. They don't know
so
anything
that's-
more than that. I mean, I got to figure out some way to... Well, I was thinking, let's say if I had a conversation with Imran Khan now, would Imran Khan be able to actually explain anything regarding the economics of Islam? I mean, I think for him, the only discussion he
he'll
would have
probably
is maybe
say to you,
zakat.
He'll tell you, he'll say we need a welfare state. I mean,
Yeah.
you see from his speeches, he talks about the profit and things like that. On the details, there's nothing there. How are you going to So, for example, how are you going to get Pakistan off these interest-based loans, which are not allowed from Islam?
Okay,
Yeah,
but if
what
I,
is
have,
it-
if I have to ask you, Brother Adnan, how would you? You are the man in power, inshallah, because I think these are the conversations really. Imran Khan is one thing. Now tell me, you were to advise Imran Khan in whatever way. How would you?
What?
Because give me 1, 2, or 3 ways how Pakistan would become independent from these loans or from interest.
Firstly, these loans have been of absolutely no benefit to Pakistan.
Okay, so the loans have
That's
not
the first
been
thing we need to- But the assumption here is we have to take these loans. We have no money. Okay, you've been taking these loans since 1958. Where has it improved Pakistan? It hasn't. So taking these loans doesn't help Pakistan. So why are you taking them? Why are you repaying them when they're of no benefit? There's 2 reasons why Pakistani leaders do this. They take these loans, but half of them go into their own pockets.
Ah.
That's why they take it.
So that's number one issue. That's number one issue. Okay,
Absolutely no benefit.
so
my
number
point
one
is-
thing, it's these loans in reality are loans that West in many ways is giving in order to keep the politicians of Pakistan in their pocket.
Yeah. And this isn't unique to Pakistan. The IMF's job
Throughout
is
the
this
world.
across the world. Like Pakistan's not unique where they're victims of the IMF. Egypt's a victim of the IMF.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka's a victim of the IMF. Venezuela's a victim of the IMF. Mexico's been a victim. This is the whole purpose of the IMF, is to lock you into the global system. And then what they then do is then they say how your economy should be run. So what they'll do, they'll make sure your economy is run in a way that suits them rather than yourself. So my point is, if you love Pakistan, as Imran Khan said, if Pakistan should come first, how are you taking these loans when they're of no benefit to Pakistan? In fact, half of Pakistan's budget now goes on repaying these loans. So if you default on these loans, you've now got half
60%,
the budget.
60% of whatever the
Now
country
you can
makes
use
goes.
60% for more useful purposes. The thing is, these loans are of no benefit to Pakistan. They never have been. 2 years ago, we had massive floods in Pakistan. Where's the infrastructure? Where's the IMF loans going to infrastructure to help during these floods? It's not there. So this money is of no use. So why, forget taking the loans, why are you repaying it when it's of no use? And in fact, I would say these loans have gone to corrupt rulers.
No. Tell them to pay.
If these are corrupt rulers, there's a concept in international law called odious debt. It's where debt was given in order to entrap that country. This is what's happened to Spain. This is what happened to many Latin American countries. So Pakistan should say, if you want this money, it's in the Swiss accounts of the Bhuttos, it's in the Swiss accounts of Nawaz Sharif. You're more than welcome to go and collect it from there.
Yeah. What is that called? You said odious? What's the name for it?
Odious debt. It's a concept in international law. So the Spanish, they gave loans to the Caribbean and South American countries to entrap them. So when these countries got independence, these loans were called in. And America argued, no, this is odious debt. This is debt that the people shouldn't have to repay back because this was debt you used to entrap them. So there's a precedent for this. But the main thing is, these loans, the rulers took for their own personal advantage. Why should the country have to pay back? So when Imran Khan's saying we're going to take more loans, and remember, Imran Khan has taken the most loans than any previous ruler of Pakistan. In his 3.5 years, he took more loans than any other previous leader.
What was he thinking, Sheikh? He was thinking there'll be cash flow in the country.
No. The problem is.
Or was he also taking the money and then he was making payments to the politicians to stay in business?
According to the ruling, he was taking plenty of gifts. That's why he's been thrown into prison. Some of these are probably trumped up charges. The main thing is look, when Imran Khan came into power, there was a tsunami coming to Pakistan. There was change coming. 4.5 years later, now we can measure what really happened. And what we're seeing is nothing changed. What we're seeing is Imran Khan delivered on nothing. And actually, some of it, he was actually naive. Did he really think he was the real ruler of Pakistan? Because his supporters were all saying, Imran Khan is going to be the real ruler, he's going to bring change. Now what is his supporters saying? Oh no, the army really had the real power, Imran Khan had no power. If you're not going to change this fact, you're not going to change anything in Pakistan.
Okay, so number one, hold on. So number one issue was loans. There's no benefit. What's the point of taking them? So okay, you got the loans done. What would be the second thing as far as getting and obviously their interest bearing loans. So
if you don't take the loans, you're not repaying them. Now you've got 60% of your budget you can put into productive use.
But can somebody say that the only reason we have that 60% production or whatever that we're coming from, that's coming from, or the GDP, 60% of the GDP is what they're saying. That 60% would not come if we did not take the money from the IMF. Meaning,
no. So if 60% of your budget is going to repay, if there's no loans, that 60% is not going to repay. That 60% now you can use in education.
No, but I guess I'm asking, where did the 60% even come from? If there was no, what they're saying is that, look, that money that was bought into the company, our country, and we use that money, and hence now we have the 60% of the money at least, because of those loans. You see what I'm saying?
It's not, no. So what's happened is, so Pakistan's in a scenario now where they are taking loans to repay old loans. So the whole loan system is completely useless for Pakistan because the original loan didn't go into productive stuff, it went into their pockets. So now what they're repaying is the money they looted in the past. So the Pakistani 220 million population is sitting there being told this story, oh, we have to pay back the IMF loans, we have to sort the economy out. They never benefited from 23 loan programs from Pakistan. So really, if you're going to subscribe to the international system, this will continue. And Imran Khan, I have to say this, after 3.5 years of power, he's a status quo politician. He's not a change politician. He's just continued with the same old policies. And if he was going to do this, why did he take the people of Pakistan in a cheap struggle?
And got so many killed and so many jailed
Because
and so many...
You've got videos on YouTube where he constantly criticized the previous regime for going to the IMF. He said, how humiliating it is for a Pakistani that we keep going to the IMF. Within 6 months, he went to the IMF. Which country has the IMF ever fixed? Which country has the IMF turned into a poor country into a rich country? You've got the track record there. So politicians who want to go with the IMF, you can go to the West and go and live in the West. You're no use for the people of Pakistan. This is a country that has mineral wealth. This is a country that has a large labor force. This is a country that has potential industry capacity. This is a country that developed the nuclear weapon. This country has the capability. What this country doesn't have is capable politicians. They have politicians who are smitten by the West. There are politicians who believe it's good for Pakistan to be more aligned to the West. And after 75 years, what has that got Pakistan? It's got Pakistan 40-50% poverty rate. It's got Pakistan inequality. It's got people dying of starvation.
Just to regurgitate that point, or to reiterate at least, which is that the money that IMF loans has got, well, the loans that they have borrowed, all of the loans, majority of it has gone to the pockets of politicians, and the average public is paying that loan back in 60%.
Yeah.
So that's something that people have to remember. So that means that 60% could actually be utilized in order to make Pakistan more productive as far as their economy is concerned. Okay, so we got that down. So obviously the loans themselves have not benefited anyone in Pakistan other than the politicians, and those politicians keep. This is the same game that they are playing with Pakistan and the population of Pakistan. Second, all that money went back for those for the few, and those corrupt rulers. Number three, Sheikh Ali, as far as the question regarding, they keep saying, well, look, we need to maintain dollar in Pakistan. We need dollar in Pakistan. This is what's happening, because this is the constant discussion, right? Okay, all the dollars are leaving Pakistan, but we need to keep that dollar. Even if for a moment, if you were to speak as a capitalist, even it doesn't seem like even the actual policies in the country are not capitalist to keep that dollar.
So as far as I know, Pakistan has its own currency, the rupee. So why do you need the dollar when you've got your own currency? The only reason why you need another currency is you must be buying a lot from abroad. And when you buy from America,
so there's more imports than exports.
You have to pay them in. Now, why is that the case? Because why do you not export more? Why do you not produce more? And I'll give you an example. I was born in 1979, and in 1979, China began its opium reform era. In 1979, this country on the border with Pakistan, the largest populated country in the world, over 90% of Chinese were in poverty. They were so poor, the communist regime used to ration bicycles and fans. That's how poor they were. This country is not poor today, is it? China now is competing with America. China now is an economic monster. China now, in most areas, is even excelling against America. What changed in 40 years that hasn't changed in Pakistan for 75 years? Did China develop a subscriber to the international system? Did China take IMF loans? Did China think, oh, we need more foreign investment? There was some foreign investment. But what China realized, we need to develop our country. So what did they do? They built the railways. They built their coastal ports. They built their cities. Yeah, they did internal development. The politicians in Pakistan don't even think beyond 4 or 5 years. They're thinking, I'm only here for 4 or 5 years. What can I do that's only a 4 or 5 year timeline? Industrial development, I mean, China's done it in record time. I mean, Britain took 100 years to develop. America took 80 plus years to develop. China's done it in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So the blueprint is there. But one thing, obviously, China understands. China went through 100 years of humiliation. So one thing they knew, we have to kick out foreign interference. We have to stand on over. Even their relationship with Russia, they weren't a lackey to Russia. Their view was we're equal partners to you. In Pakistan, this thinking amongst the politicians doesn't exist. They feel the more we bend over for America, the better this will be for Pakistan. The more we sell Kashmir, the more we support America in its agenda, this will be good for Pakistan. That wasn't the Chinese thinking. The Chinese thinking was these foreigners, they occupied our country. These are people we can't trust. We need to stand on our own feet, and they need to treat us with respect. And they've done it in 40 years. Your Sharifs, your Zardaris, your Bhuttos, the military top brass, their thinking is, the more we do, yes sir, the better that will be for us. And 75 years later, here we are. That's the situation you actually have. So these crop of elites we have, your intellectuals, your dynastic family, the top military brass, these are not people who are going to save Pakistan. They're only looking to save themselves. So that's the scenario we have. So Imran Khan, what did he do to change this structure? He didn't do anything. In fact, he was very positive about the army leadership. He was, oh, we need to have a decent relationship with America now. He talked a lot about the Medina state. And then obviously, eventually now things have changed for him. Once he decided that he wasn't happy with the change in the military leadership, he wasn't happy with some of the promotions, the army was like, you've crossed a red line now. You know, your job isn't to interfere in the army affairs. And here we are. Within a very short period, within a year, he's been completely removed. He's been thrown out of power. In fact, everything he did to the Sharif family is what happened to him in the end.
So, Sheikh, let's say if those who are, I mean, so far we've talked about no loans, no benefit, 60% money can actually come back, which now is going to pay the loans that is going to the pockets of the politicians, foreign influence or interference, constant keeping Pakistan behind and occupied in many ways. So, Sheikh, what would you do to remove these? I mean, it seems like the fundamental issue is the army. At the end of the day,
We had the army top brass. I wouldn't say the rank and file in the army.
I mean, so somebody would have to. I mean, what are we saying here? It's a movement, a group, or whatever. They removal of these people is necessity,
remember,
or is it?
Look, firstly, the discussion we're having now and the question you've asked is really unique to us. The South Africans face this against the white
Yes.
majority government.
Yes.
In Latin America, many times people have faced this. Yeah, the Chinese faced this in the past as well. So this is not unique. Yeah, the thing is, you need to get the people unified by a movement that drive this, and actually, you have to target the pillars of the old regime. The pillars of this. America's main hand in Pakistan is for the military top brass. It's not the whole army; it's the military top brass. Then you see that they have some influence over these dynastic families because these people are after themselves. The fact that Imran Khan got the support of the masses shows you can unite the masses behind you. It is possible. The people can see most Pakistanis anti-American. It's only these politicians and it's only the top brass who have to manipulate the public to show that, oh yeah, you're right, but we have not. In fact, the argument for working with America is we've got no choice. It's good for the economy. If you want the economy to improve, we have to do this. That we have to show people is nonsense. America needs Pakistan. America needs Pakistan in the region. America needs Pakistan for Afghanistan. America needs Pakistan for China. It's America that needs you. It's not you need America. If Pakistan didn't side with America during the last 20 years, America would have had in fact, the Taliban were bleeding to death America.
Yeah.
That's what was going on. So this is the thing, you know, in Pakistan, when you see these politicians, when you're always told, look, we're weak, people then think, look, within these circumstances, what's the best we can get? But we need to show that this is wrong. You're not actually. Why does America keep coming back to you? Why does America worry about your nuclear weapons? Why does America worry one person in the army could turn all of this upside down? They're worried because you're a country that has capability. You're a country that has potential. You're a country that could unify with the wider Muslim world. So what they do is they make sure to defeat the people of Pakistan intellectually that no, you're weak, you're not educated, look, you need more dollars. And if you do this for a long time, people start to believe it. That's the scenario you have. So really, the people of Pakistan, they know their history. As far as they're concerned, Pakistan was created in the name of Islam. This region has a glorious Islamic history. I mean, Islam's been in the Hind area for up to 1,000 years. You know, they know their history. It's the rulers of Pakistan that are weak. It's the rulers of Pakistan that are intellectually defeated, not the people. That's the problem, Yashaf. So Imran Khan was in a unique position where actually he had mass support and he could have brought the change. But that was never his agenda. Now, after 3.5 years, nobody can argue, he really did have an agenda. He didn't get around to it. If he didn't get around to it, what was he doing for 3.5 years? And I can run you through what he did for 3.5 years. For 3.5 years, he was too busy criticizing the opposition. For 3.5 years, he was too busy making sure within his own party, there was no one at the same level as him. For 3.5 years, he was too busy telling people what they want to hear, but he was doing very little. And then COVID happened, and things were already bad before COVID. And then after that, things have really gone downhill for him. So really, what this shows you is it's not about personalities and individuals. There's fundamental problem in Pakistan. The architecture we have, it supports being a lackey to America. Until you don't uproot that, we're going to have the same outcome again and again. And what we've seen now is another person who talked about bringing change, but not changing the fundamentals of the country. And that's why, unfortunately, we're here in the same position. Again, the
Sheikh,
fact
but
that we
this
have to
has been, there's a question here. But Zain was asking, you said, you mentioned a mindset of dependency trickling down from Jinnah to his successors, a mindset which persists today. What does it take to break this cycle? Does this require intellectuals to propagate alternatives, or does this require a top-down state effort? I mean, state effort. I wish there was a state effort.
There are people in Pakistan, there are people outside Pakistan who see these problems, but they don't get media time because you're going against the image the rulers want to create. They don't get access to privileged positions. Because remember, if you let people talk about change, then that means the current status quo is bad. That means the leaders who prevail over it are bad. So the last thing they want is to give coverage. But in the era of the internet, you can't hide this. So the thing is, people can see there are problems, but where are these leaders? So even I would argue, even America today doesn't say capitalism is the best system. They used to say this in 1990 after communism collapsed. They used to say it's the end of history. What do they say now? Well, there is nothing else. You just have to, this is the best we have. That's what they argue, because people could see, look at the economic inequality. People could see the poverty. So the thing here is the people of Pakistan need to realize, and especially the intellectuals, that the intellectuals said the more we become like the West, the more closer we get to them, we will develop. That's been a complete failure. To become more like the West, look at what it's led to. It led to this scenario. So what we need is something completely different, but we need something that's in line with the values of the people. We don't want these foreign imports. We don't want capitalism, nation state. These are European creations. These don't work for us. What we need is something in line with our values. And only Islam is in line with our values. And in fact, was the reason why Pakistan was created. It was created a homeland for Muslims and Islam. That's what we need to go back to. Then, Pakistan as a country, this is an artificial creation. This is a creation of Britain. These borders shouldn't be there. Why is Afghanistan a separate country? Why is Central Asia?
But this is not something that you would do, right? See, look, Sheikh, I guess what I'm saying is, for the average person, they're probably thinking, okay, you're saying the Pakistan's problems will be solved if we remove the borders from Afghanistan.
So that's one of Pakistan. The thing is look, when you start thinking Pakistan only, then you start thinking, you're limiting your thinking. And again, this is a Western development. That we created countries for you. If you want to change, think within our boundaries. Why are we thinking like that? So Pakistan historically has supported elements in Afghanistan. So that shows you even the army and Pakistan don't view Afghanistan as a separate country. The Taliban emerged from within inside Pakistan. They emerged from the tribal areas. So even Pakistan doesn't view there's a border there. The people who live along the border don't view it as a border. So can you see the thinking of a borderless world already exists in much of the Muslim world? The only people that want the borders are the rulers because they benefit from it, are the intellectuals because they view themselves in a limited way. And in Pakistan's history, there's always been talk about the greater Central Asia. There's been talk about Central Asia, Afghanistan, Pakistan being one region. Historically, how did Islam come to this region? It came from the Arab land originally, then it came through Central Asia, Afghanistan into Hind. So that is the natural disposition of this area. Why do the Hindus of India worry about Afghanistan, who they don't have a border with? Because their threats have always come from Central Asia, Afghanistan that way. That's how Islam came to this region. So in the long run, we can't be thinking of change in a borderless way. And I would argue, even with the borders we have, much of the military thinking historically has been that Afghan border doesn't exist.
So let's say Pakistan. Okay, so let's go back to the question. I mean, because now you are saying the top brass has to be removed.
I'm saying we need people in power that are independent in their thinking, and the ones who are not independent, they will need to be removed because they are the problem. There's no other way to do this.
The military.
Yeah. So the military top brass, they are in bed with America. They have been historically. So they need to be removed, right? How do you remove them? Well, very simple. You find the sincere elements within the army. There's still a role for the army, But you find this is the challenge in any nation where you want to bring change. You have to remove the existing status quo. And the way you do that is the masses are behind a new status quo. The system can only, in any country, the system only works with the submission, cooperation, and obedience of the people. If people don't go to work, if people refuse to go by the rules of the leadership, the system collapses. So what you need is a movement that we want a new status quo, which is X, Y, and Z, and we are done with the old status quo.
But Sheikh, because of the amount of, look, there's so many movements in Pakistan, and everybody brings some type of, even Imran Khan, for even however long he survived on the so-called Medina, what do you call it, Medina structure, Medina state, and this state and that state.
I mean,
And
he never actually explained what that was.
of course, because he has no clue. I don't think he even has a clue of what that means. But Riyasat Medina, that's right. Somebody just the thing. Muslims of Pakistan, how are they going to trust any movement, Sheikh, that again is going to come and talk about Riyasat Medina? Because at the end of the day, everybody who doesn't want really. I mean, I understand when you say Riyasat Medina. For me, I understand exactly what that means. I understand Sharia, the sovereignty of Sharia, yani the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The authority belongs to the Ummah. It has to be free from the hands of the kuffar. Cannot be there cannot be any influence or interference by the kuffar or foreign powers. It has to be, we know the concept of Ahlul Halli wal Aqd, that they have to be the people that have to actually give you or transfer power to you to rule only and only by Islam, without nationalism, without, we understand that. But the average, how do you gain the trust of the average Muslim in Pakistan that, look, yes, with all of these movements that have come and played you, we're not playing you? I mean, there has to be a movement like that.
Look, the fact that Imran Khan, a complete outsider, people supported him, shows you that if you say and give the people a vision which is in line with what they believe, people will support you.
But even Imran Khan was a status sheikh, and he was brought in power by the state.
Look, he came at a time when corruption was really bad, and obviously the sharifs and the Zadar run the country into the ground. So when he led the opposition against them, that we need to get you out because of corruption, people could see these people were corrupt. And then when he said all the Islamic slogans, people believe in that. So you find across the Muslim world, when you espouse Islam, people will support you. So at the moment in Pakistan, interestingly, people don't see Imran Khan's failure because he didn't implement his program. They see that he's been removed by corrupt politicians. They bought into his agenda, which is, it was America who removed him, and it was the corrupt army general who removed him, and it's the corrupt officials. That's how people actually see the whole vote of no confidence happen. But what people in Pakistan are still trying to make ends meet. People in Pakistan's biggest problem is inflation. So they're thinking day to day, I still got to eat. So that's why things actually move on. And obviously in a country where you can't make ends meet, you're not going to be thinking long-term change. What you're thinking is, who's going to put bread on my table? Who's going to make sure electricity is working? If the Sharifs are going to do that, I'm going to support them. But I've got a family to feed. So, my argument is, Pakistan shouldn't be short of electricity. People shouldn't be in poverty because it has the mineral wealth. So all of this can be fixed because Pakistan has the wealth, but the rulers aren't doing that. What the rulers want to do is get to power and loot the country. So until you don't remove
now the recent the train wreck that happened just yesterday, 30 some people killed, hundreds injured, and they're saying because Pakistan government never ever cared about the infrastructure, some of the British.
Some of the railway tracks go back to the era of the British.
Yeah, that's it. Whatever they have set up, that's what's there today.
Yeah. Look, the railways of Pakistan, it gets no investment.
Although they need it so bad. Of course. It's the major transportation hub for the country.
Yeah, I mean the railways, they're down the drain. Yeah, there's been no investment, there's no plan, there's no strategy, no nothing. Yeah, so that's why the state they're in. Already, I heard yesterday there was some talk of sabotage, And I think that's a complete lie. But if you want to sabotage Pakistan, you look at the bombings. Bombings used to happen in cities, in schools. You don't bomb a railway track. What's happening is this is because of neglect, but obviously the government is going to get. People can see the reason why there's a train wreck is because government's neglected it. So to deflect, they will say there was sabotage. That's what these guys are going to actually do. And remember, in a couple of days, the government's going to be dissolved because in 3 months, you've got elections.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to get something done
But
in the 90
remember,
days, is what they're saying.
this is the railway. Last year, we had the massive floods.
Yes.
Where was the government for them?
Yeah, and then constant
Yeah.
bombings are taking place.
And
3-4 days ago, the bombing
if
that
you look
happened.
at reports from previous floods, none of the recommendations have ever been implemented. So the thing here is, you can get different rulers, different personalities. Until you don't change the underlying architecture, nothing's going to change. And that's where Pakistan will be focused. So it's got to be not, oh, he's saying what I believe. Is he saying he's going to remove the army top brass from politics? Is he saying we're going to be independent from America? Is he saying we are not going to take IMF loans? Because China didn't develop because they took IMF loans. No country develops from taking IMF loans. In fact, the more IMF loans you take, the more dependent you become on the West. So this is the problem. This is the problem. So Imran Khan, in the end, despite what's happening to him, he's turned out to be a status quo politician. And in fact, apart from lots of talk, he never. I don't think he had any intention, but he didn't do anything he said he promised. In fact, in the end, he started to compromise and justify that. Look, I've got no choice. We have to. Or he started blaming everything on the opposition. I think he was still saying until a year ago, PTI inherited a mess from the previous government. Now the government is saying we've inherited the mess of Imran Khan. That's the scenario you've got in the country. So look, a lot of people are going to get bogged down now. He's going to prison. These are trumped up charges, which is fine. But the situation of Pakistan is still the same. We've still got the same problems. We've still got the same issues. We've got the same debt problems, same poverty issues, same lack of development.
Sheikh, I was wondering, even within the police, within the security, intelligence, all these things. I mean, these people are dying for these politicians over and over for no reason. I mean, they're the ones that's taking the brunt of the public that's so angry, and then on the other side, the government is pushing them to go and face them, and they themselves probably are saying that Sheikh, I mean, can you see something happening from that institution itself? Meaning,
it's possible. Look, the conditions you're talking about, these are the sort of things that lead to eventual revolution. When the institutions stop listening to the regime, when they start implementing what the government wants, that's when you're in revolutionary territory. That's when people have had enough.
I mean, other than the military, has this ever happened where security?
So what the military's done is they threw so look, there is a difference between Pakistan compared to the Arab world. In the Arab world, you have a ruling family, you have a military dictatorship.
Yeah.
In Pakistan, what they've done, you've got the military, you've got the dynastic families, you've got opportunistic politicians. So there's a lot more people in Pakistan who rely on the system. You'd find there's people defending the system. When people talk about change, oh no, we need to change the leader. Oh no, we need more foreign investment. Yeah. But what people need to realize is what the military regime, the top brass has done, they've made sure that there are people that benefit from the system of Pakistan. So the ruling families, the dynastic family, these sort of people. So these people will defend the system. But what the people need to realize is you've got that camp and then you've got the people. It's not you got that camp, you got the people, and there's another camp in between. No, the camp in between, they justify the status quo. The camp in between are the ones that say, perfect yourself. Don't get involved in politics. Yeah, and I'm talking about certain people here. The ones who always say, we're the problem. We are the problem. You got to perfect yourself. It's not them. They are defending the status quo. That's what these guys are actually doing. Look, America doesn't look at Pakistan. They don't see a poor country. They don't see a country that is backward. They see a country of a large population who has nuclear weapons, who has a large army. If this country got the act in order, they are a threat in the region. That's how America looks at Pakistan. So if America looks at you like that, that shows you do have potential. So what you need is a leader to see that potential. Yeah, if leaders are not in power who see that potential, you're going to have leaders who are completely opposite. That's what's happening in Pakistan. The leaders you have are, we need to keep taking loans. We need to work with the international community. That needs to actually change.
So, going back to the fourth, well, this was the fourth point, maybe even the fifth, but so just so I'm saying it so that inshallah people, those who are listening, they actually, they see that there is what has happened so far with loans, what has happened so far with so-called this foreign interference that top army brass has to be removed. If you can just for the next 5 minutes, because time is this odious debt that you were talking about, Sheikh. Can you repeat that exactly? What happened? You said even the Americans at one point were saying people should not have to pay that back because that's not owned by the people.
So odious debt is a legal principle. It's where you have a country that has debt and they're forced to repay it. And what they're arguing is this debt was used as a tool to control and colonize us. So we don't want to repay back the debt and we shouldn't have to. So Cuba owed Spain, but it was colonized by them, loads of money. And America argued, no, this was odious debt. This was not debt to benefit the country. This was debt to engulf the country, so it's linked to Spain. So that is where it was used. In South Africa, when Nelson Mandela took over, they said that the debt that South Africa had, that was odious debt given to the white minority government. So South Africa shouldn't have the right to repay it back. This debt, I mean, look, Nawaz Sharif's been in power 3 times, and the IMF always gives him money, even though he's been removed because of corruption. Would Nawaz Sharif ever get a loan from a normal bank? Never. They would never give him a loan. Why on earth are the IMF giving him loans? They're giving him loans because then they're going to use his loans to interfere in the country. So you have a legal principle from the West which you can use. I would say even if this didn't exist, Pakistan should say we are not going to repay back your debt. We are defaulting on the debt. The debt is of no benefit to Pakistan. Never has been. There's no development. So you got that as a backing. And secondly, if you want the debt, you can take it from Nawaz Sharif and the Bhuttos and all the corrupt politicians. More than happy. In fact, their bank accounts are in your countries anyway, so you can take it.
Lastly, Sheikh, as you know, with let's say Pakistan or Afghanistan, I mean, a lot of the arguments are the same, but they're holding the money. They're holding the money of the people of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Could that happen? I mean, what happens if Pakistan say they if they say that we're not going to pay back any of the money and they default? How does that affect? I guess the markets in Pakistan, the foreign markets that are trading with Pakistan, could that shut off everything there?
But this is the problem. Why is any country dependent upon a foreign market? Why have you not developed your own markets? You've had 75 years to develop agriculture, develop industry. Really, the situation should be you rely on a few things from abroad. Vast majority you make. But this requires vision. This requires a strategy. It requires investment. It requires long-term implementation. Why has there been multiple governments in Pakistan that have never done this? Not their agenda is not to develop the country. Their agenda to loot the country. Anyone can develop any market, any industry in their country. In fact, Pakistan has the raw materials to do it. It has the mineral wealth to do it. Why have they not done it? Why has countries like Germany and Japan, who have no energy resources, that's why they conquered other countries, how have they developed today? And how are the African countries like Pakistan not developed? The reason why you haven't developed, it's never been the agenda of the rulers to develop the country. That's why there's no other reason. It's not education. China's not more educated than Pakistan.
Yeah, they can barely speak English, man.
There you go. They're not educated. Most of them are farmers still.
Yeah.
In China today. Yeah. The difference was they understood the West is a problem. The West are colonists. We need to become independent. So what resources do we have? We can develop the country. And now, when you want to make international agreements, when you want to make trade agreements, you have to have China at the table. But China's such a big economy. And now they've got a problem. When China comes, China's not saying, what do you want from us? China's saying, if you want us to be part of the agreement, here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 conditions. Where was, when America invaded Afghanistan, where was Pakistan's 5 conditions? Where was Pakistan saying, if you want us to join you, write all our debt off. Transfer technology to us.
SubhanAllah, yeah.
Where was Pakistan's condition when they sold the Afghan people? Where were their conditions to America? Well, look at what Pakistan, the rulers did. They sold their brothers. They sold their soul to America. and now they're even more in debt today. That's a scenario you have. Even if you take your Islamic hat off, what the rulers did is treason. Pakistan should have no debt today. If you want us to join your war on terror, write off all our debt. And remember,
I mean, it was surprising. That's why I was asking. I don't know if it was you or another brother. I was asking the question. I was saying that are the Muslims of Pakistan, the amount of men that they have lost, 80,000, 85,000 men, just soldiers and everything else, and not counting all of the other attacks and things that have happened, just the soldiers lost. I mean, 80,000 men that you lose, and they weren't able to go and say, why do we have to pay you a penny for this?
You know, Colin Powell, he actually said, when 9/11 happened, they gave 7 terms to Pakistan. And they expected 1 or 2 Pakistan will accept. They won't accept the rest. Colin Powell goes, I was shocked when Musharraf replied and accepted all of them. And these conditions were, open up your airspace to America, open up your waterways to America, close down and stop all the funding and support to the Mujahideen groups. Even he was shocked Musharraf accepted that all. They expected 1 or 2 that help. Yeah. And what did Musharraf say? This is not America's war on terror. This is in our national interest as well. These are the rulers we have. Musharraf was actually a ruler for America. He was a better politician for America than he was for Pakistan. If Pakistan said, we want to arrest Raymond Davis in America, who killed Pakistani citizens, what would America say? They said, don't you dare. Musharraf, I mean, even today, you still have American military personnel in Pakistan. They gave him a free reign. These are the rulers we had. America didn't even expect Pakistan would permit this. So that's your problem. The rulers we have, they are more happy being lackeys for America than support. In fact, they clamp down on their own people. They throw the sincere people into jail, and they roll out the red carpet for the West. These are the rulers you have. These are the people you have to get rid of. Anyone who doesn't start with, we need to change this, is a status quo politician. They're not looking for change. And that's what Imran Khan was in the end. In the end, when Imran Khan fell out with the army, it wasn't over Pakistan. It was over Imran Khan wants to promote a person. Sorry, the general wants to promote someone, and Imran Khan preferred someone else because he was closer to him. It was for his own career. It wasn't for Pakistan.
Chad, last question. Okay, so you have the public, you have the military and all of this, and then in the middle you have the people who are telling us, oh, all of this is happening because you don't pray enough, you don't go make Hajj, you need to purify yourself, you need to do tazkiyatun nafs, you can't talk against the ruler. So what do we do with these people, Sheikh? Are they also in part of the top brass? I mean, it's sickening to hear what they say, Sheikh.
Yeah. But I would say to this, the Chinese don't pray. The Chinese are not even Muslim. They've developed. The Americans, they don't pray. They're not Muslim, and they've developed. So I don't think fixing yourself is going to lead to solving your problems. When the Prophet ﷺ established the Medina state, how many people were Muslim? When the Prophet ﷺ conquered Makkah, how many people were Muslim? The condition isn't you become perfect Muslims. The conditions are, yes, you work on yourself for all your life, absolutely. But the Sharia, we don't have a choice in implementing Sharia. We are not allowed to implement any law other than Allah's law. There's no discussion in this. There's no debate in this. This is an Aqidah matter. So it's not you perfect yours. So yeah, we go and perfect ourselves and we let these guys sell our country. Is that the scenario we actually do? What you find in this rule, there's 2 aspects. One are in cahoots with the region. The other, they're just naive, yeah, and they don't understand the political reality around them. They're the 2. Because remember, when you're saying perfect yourself, what you're saying is leave these people. Is that what the Prophet taught us?
None of your
business. That what we learned from the Khilafah Rashida? Is that what we learned from Abu Bakr and Umar? That when the rulers do corruption, you look the other way, you perfect yourself. That's not the Medina model. the Medina model is you join the good, you forbid the munkar. You know, our ulama, your Imam Abu Hanifas.
What do you have to say to those people who say, no, do it privately, Sheikh? Do it privately. If you're going to correct them privately.
Look, so our rulers who publicly do haram, we should privately account them. So where are these, these scholars, do they privately account them on their kufr? This is nonsense. He's a rule. When the woman accounted Umar bin Khattab, when he tried to limit the dowry, did she tell him privately? He said this publicly, she accounted him publicly. When they do their corruption publicly, we account them publicly. And also, their corruption and their kufr isn't hidden, is it? It's all public. When Imran Khan took IMF loans, well, it's a private agreement. I mean, this is nonsense. It's absolutely, again, either they're in cahoots with them.
Yeah, because the question is, why am I paying for the loans that I never get any benefit from? SubhanAllah, Sheikh. I mean, I hope this one really people hear this discussion that happened between you and I.
Our discussion here, look, I don't want people to go away from things are really bad, things are negative. Actually, from this darkness, I actually see a lot of positive.
Yes.
What this has actually done is it's actually shown the people that actually a change of face isn't actually the problem. Because many people thought if we get the right politician, things will be different. What people have realized now, actually, the army top brass had remained in power before, remained in power during, and they're still in power. And that's a problem we have to deal with. Secondly, in many ways, people still want Islam to be central to whatever change comes. And more importantly, people are more anti-American today than they were when Imran Khan first came into power. In fact, the rulers are finding it difficult now working with America because the people are completely against it. So they have to do it secretly. But when it becomes public, it's a problem. So last week, the Pakistani cabinet approved a new agreement with America. And when the media have been calling them, all the cabinet are denying it. And America has confirmed America has made a new agreement with Pakistan where they're going to now share intelligence and where America might sell their military equipment. And the politicians are scared now that the public are going to find out about this, that they're in bed with America. This is the scenario that you actually have. So I'm actually quite positive. And actually, I would even say not just in Pakistan, in the Middle East.
Yes, Egypt. I don't know when Egypt will blow up, Sheikh.
They're on the verge.
The way that things are going, they're on the brink. People are.
When these things happen, everywhere in the Muslim world, people start questioning. We are unhappy as well. Do we need to do what they're doing? This is the scenario we actually have. And the added thing we have here, the West have also got their own problems. There is a lack of confidence in democracy, in politicians in the West. The reason why Trump is popular is because people have lost hope in their own politics. So we have a scenario where America's got bigger problems at home.
I wonder how it will look like now when the elections actually, this whole process begins here. They keep putting him in a situation where he can't run for any type of position.
I actually believe America will struggle to interfere in other countries when America's got bigger problems at home. So we actually have a very good opportunity. These rulers in Pakistan, the top brass, who think America will come and save them, America's got bigger problems at home. So this is the opportunity for sincere people to actually make the change, to actually remove these status quo politicians, remove this architecture and actually bring change, because America's got bigger problems at home. America's got bigger problems to deal with. So, in my view, things are actually very positive. I mean, unfortunately, it's taken this time to go through this process. And Imran Khan, in many ways, was the last throw of the dice from the army. How do you bring confidence into the system in Pakistan? Imran Khan was that person. He was going to be the person. We don't need to bring change. We can work within the system. He's been a complete failure. How else do you justify the system in Pakistan now? Imran Khan was the last throw of the dice.
Yeah. People are tired. There's no question about it. Even general public, you speak to them, they're just. And this is why I guess the brothers, the dawah carriers, the people who actually know Islam and how need to tighten their belt and the work. All right, Sheikh. With this, inshallah, we'll end this program. Wallah, jazakallah khair. It's always a pleasure having you on, Akhi. And we have to figure out how to make your discussions live and in more ways that we need really people to listen to these discussions, Sheikh. These are the discussions that really matter, because we hear so many different kind of discussions taking place, and none of it are actually pinpointing the real problems that people are facing. And at least when you pinpoint them, that look, these are the main 4 or 5 issues that you need to tackle, and we are back in the game. I was hearing this thing in the morning. Someone was saying that, look, the issue with the Muslims is that they constantly are thinking how to rule the world. They may not be in power today. I guess the issue was that how come so many Westerners are becoming Muslim and things like this. And the answer was saying that, look, it's just that these guys are, this is so-called, they're constantly looking for power, and they know that they've been in power for 1400 years, and this is not going to stop. And on the other side, what he was talking about Christianity, and he was saying that Christianity was always about, giving the other cheek and things like that, but the Muslims don't think that way. So, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, the Muslims are realizing that we have an amazing example of real Medina state, which was the state of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and we have all of what it takes. It's just a matter of trusting in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and making it happen. All right, Shaykh, Jazakallah khair, and inshallah, for the rest of the brothers and sisters, everything is clear. Second, the rest of Imran Khan, we don't know what's going to happen. I think they're going to keep him in for another 2 or 3 years. It could go on for a long halt. He could be arrested for many reasons. He has supposedly over 35 different cases against him, and many of them are related to terrorism. The one he's in now is just for about this corruption case, but they have him stuck, just constantly going to one prison to another prison. Again, but it's not about one person or one personality. It's about removing the system, and we ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to give the Muslims the tawfiq to see things the way they are, and that we, inshallah, bring back the real change that is needed. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
لا لن يطول الظلام ديننا لن يضام نحن جيل همام نحن فينا عمر لا 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 لن يطول الظلام ديننا لن يضام نحن جيل همام نحن فينا عمر صبح بدا نور ظهر نجم وشمس وقمر ألقى على الدنيا الدرر هذا عمر هذا عمر كل البرايا تنتظر أيامه البيض الغرر كي تستفيد من العبر هذا عمر هذا عمر لا لن تدوم الجراح بل سيأتي الصباح نحن أهل الكفاح نحن فينا عمر لا لا لن تدوم الجراح بل سيأتي الصباح نحن أهل الكفاح نحن فينا